Well, it's wonderful to be here, and I would like to thank FMS and TEDx for making me part of this. Isn't it a beautiful morning? And every day when I get up, I look at life and I say how beautiful it is. Look at this gift of life. And it came to me on 12th of September 1976 when I was given a second lease of life. And you'll ask why. I was trekking. I was a keen trekker, and at some height of 13,000 feet went into a state of just like that, and I fell off and I went hurtling down. Had it not been for an ITBP guide, I would not have been here before you today. So I owe my life to the ITBP guide, but I also learned a lesson of how to appreciate every moment that we have in this life. You never know what the second moment brings you. But at the same time, one gets so much involved with living life, no adversities. So you are absolutely on a different high. And the second, when adversity comes to you, it really comes with a bang. And it's sort of literally that bubble is burst. And that happened on 23rd of November 1977, just a year later, when I suddenly heard that there was a train accident and I had lost my father in that. And I went running. I had just entered civil service. I was part of the Indian Audits and Accounts Service, 1976 batch, and I was also a well-known young dancer. But at the same time, it was as though the ground under my feet had gone. Here I was, full of life. What more could you want? You had your name as a young dancer, recognized dancer, dancing in all the festivals of India in different parts of the world. You had your career. You had just got into the civil services and you had finished your training and was on your first posting. And there it was to see, you've just seen the images of the mangled trains, and there it was. I had to fish out my father's and identify his body, bring it back and imagine the age, and then I had to go and light the pyre. And thereafter that, it didn't end there. Here I'm crying. It was a day when I was alternating between hope, despair, everything, all kinds of feelings were going in through me. And then after lighting the pyre, 2 days later, I had a performance in Mathura festival. So here was life again testing me immediately, one after the other. The question was, do I say no or do I go ahead with it? I chose the latter, went ahead with it. And there I was on stage doing performances of Radha Krishna, enacting out the beautiful romantic scenarios, and inside I was crying. It was a beautiful study within myself of opposite emotions. But then that was life. The other adversity struck much later. We all of us, irrespective of what we say, we are struck by the external experiences. We are impressed by external appearances. We make our judgment instantaneously, whether right or wrong, by external appearances. However much we deny it, but we are all fall prey to it one time or the other. Life again struck another note, said, oh, you've had it too good for too long. There it is, here it is. And one fine day, I find that my knees have given way. And I had hairline fractures all over. And so what does one do? I'm a dancer. I need my feet to. So here I am. Even till today, I do have it. Hairline fractures all over, but here we are. But it asks you to reinvent yourself as what your body is capable of. Then I'm talking about another. I talked about appearances, how we judge a person by what they are. That sensitivity within you, that sensitivity that is part of our Indian culture, of the culture of this philosophy, of our Indian subcontinent, that spirit of inquiry that is missing when our previous speaker just talked about. Why is it that India, our education system, I am talking about that sensitivity has to be within us. We have to nurture it. It's there. It is there, but some way we have put a cover over it in our desire to be something that we are not. When we are talking about what we want to be, I would say that we should know our strengths and weaknesses. We should have our goals set according to what we are capable of. And when we are capable of that, while we are working on our strengths, we cannot also just keep away our weaknesses, because our weaknesses have to be addressed. Weaknesses, it could be not only in terms of skills, but it could also be in terms of attitudes. Our weaknesses in terms of we might fly off at a handle on any little issue. So we have to address the weaknesses, but yes, we have to work on our strong points, but we cannot lose track of either, of even the other side. And at the same time, all the goals that we set for ourselves have to be extremely realistic. Then another aspect that we come across is of that time and again, since I'm always dealing with my students, I'm coming across peer pressure. There is peer pressure from this, from that, from this and from that, and brand names. And here I would like to just mention again a small little happening that happened when my son was about 8 years old. Of course, like any one of us, any child of that age, he kept on, he was fascinated by certain brands of shoes, and and I didn't know how to tell him not to go for brand names and go for what is comfortable and should be, because I was a little scared that if he grows now into brands, then what will happen later on? He has to develop as a human being and a reasoning human being himself. And so we were in Connaught Place, hot May summer afternoon, and we were walking, and we went to this branded shop, that non-branded shop, saw it, that branded shop, saw the thing. Finally, he couldn't make up his mind. I kept on saying, your feet are going to grow larger, so why are you wanting to take something of this brand? Why don't you? Because 6 months later, I'll have to buy you another pair of shoes. So it went on. Finally, and in the meantime, you know, Connaught Place, there are little urchins coming and trying to sell you something, coming and trying to. So while we walked around, I said, finally, let's take off our shoes. As you see, I've taken off my chappals. I said, let's take off our chappals and shoes and let's walk like those urchins. Now, when you're walking inside an arcade, it's fine. But try running across the tarred road from this block to the other block. It was mighty tough. It was mighty tough. And when that happened, we just ran across. Then after a few minutes, my son says, you know, in our traditional Indian philosophy, we never said aham. We always said hum. We. So that there is a question of sense of a certain politeness and, you know, looking inward also, and humility. So in that, it reminds me of Kabir ka doha, जब मैं था तब हरी नहीं, जब मैं था तब हरी नहीं, अब हरि है तो मैं नहीं, जब मैं था तो हरि नहीं, अब हरि है तो मैं नहीं. So it is that the moment we submerge and allow that मैं to go, and we become one with humanness and humane feelings, I think we ourselves become much happier as individuals, as human beings. And in that sense, and in that spirit of how we can, if somebody can help a person in need, I think we can all rise above it. We can rise above those adversities. We can rise above ourselves of creating and nurturing sensitivity. We can rise above ourselves and help people, and just understand that power and position is not everything, and that humanity is the best. And in that spirit, I would, if I have your permission, may I just end it off on one little dance sequence of mine? मैं अगर करूँगी, if I do something, I don't think it's just on, it's there's no song in it. So let the dance speak for itself. And since we are all Indians over here, I think it is something from our mythology that I will do, but it has, there is a very strong message, and I'll talk about that later as the concluding phrase. And I don't think I'll, may I just start without explaining what I'm going to do? Sure. Okay, here. Thank you. Thank you.